I want to go back to something which I thought was interesting, which is that we all took it for granted that
Yeah.
Vinicius won. And it's interesting because one of the Ballon d'Or voters, Paolo Condò, from Sky Italia, he was on TV and he told me, and he didn't tell me, he told anybody who was watching, that sort of in September, in early September, some very in the know people went to him and said, "Oh, Vinicius has won the Ballon d'Or. Vini's going to win the Ballon d'Or." And he said, "That's odd because the voting window," he revealed, which I don't know if he was supposed to reveal because the voting window isn't normally made public, was between September 4th and September 30th.
Yeah.
So he's like, I haven't even cast my vote yet.
Yeah.
And you're telling me the guy's already won, right?
Yeah.
How does that work, right? But this took on a life of its own. I saw somebody on social media saying that, they backed Rodri at 12-1 during the Euros to win the Ballon d'Or. And all of this totally clashes with what our friend Vincent Garcia, the guy who runs it for France Football, what he said in that interview with the Times when he talked about his blockchain code and how, he was the only person in the universe who could access it and how on the day he would write all the names on the envelope. So clearly both things can't be true. There is no way that he's the only person in the world who knows who won, until the names get written on the envelope.
Yeah.
But then Real Madrid knows 6 hours earlier.
And apparently we're told by City too. That's what is reported in Spain. So clearly City and Rodri knew way before Monday night. maybe they did, maybe they didn't tell Real Madrid, we don't know. But yeah, so
with the benefit of hindsight, I look back and I always think these predictions are silly because we can all say who we think should win based on the 3 criteria, which I'll remind you are individual performance, team performance, and kind of character and so on. And personality. We're guessing how these 100 people from very different countries are going to vote. But with hindsight, I look back and I say, all right, well, the award is for the 23-24 season, right? Vinicius missed a big chunk at the start of the season.
With injury.
He really wasn't good until the second half of the season when he was really, really good.
Yeah.
He was really, really good on a team which had a bunch of really high achievers who carried Real Madrid at different times during the season because it was Jude Bellingham, it was Toni Kroos, it was Antonio Rudiger. I'm not saying Antonio Rudiger is better than Vini, please, nobody get angry. But in terms of who carried them, and Carvajal as well, of course, coming up with those big goals. So I think that does split the vote a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
And the other thing is the season before, 22-23, Rodri won everything, right, with Manchester City.
Trouble, yeah.
I think in that season, but then voters had to give it to Messi because they felt compelled because it's Messi.
Well,
Messi wins the World Cup.
You didn't have to, no. But
No, but realistically, right? A lot of people, but I think a lot of people said, oh, I really would like to give it to Rodri, but I kind of have to give it to Messi because the GOAT winning the World Cup, blah, blah, blah. Does it sell the argument, all the hype? So I think some of those people then leaned more towards Rodri this year because it was almost like 2 years of achievement. And then the Copa America. This dude doesn't show up.
Yeah,
Rodri,
disappointing.
Rodri is, for better or worse, and you may disagree, but effectively, given you have a Gimpy Pedri and you have, Morata, everybody makes fun of, you've got the French center backs, and you have a 16-year-old at the time, Rodri's the face of the Spain team until the final.
Yeah,
right?
he is.
And they win the Euros.
Yeah, and he
so
was
with
good.
hindsight,
He was really
why
good.
were we all so sure? It was because people were telling us. And why were people telling us when they couldn't have known?
It's not so much that. I think it's because traditionally the Ballon d'Or is won by forwards. We know that because people are more likely or keen, I don't know what the word is, the right word is, to vote for forwards.
Than to recognize a
strikers.
defensive midfielder. That's what you're saying.
No, I'm just saying that I think we thought that Vinicius was going to win it because of that, because historically there are forwards who win this 90% of the time. So
I think a lot of this actually can be explained with 2 factors why forwards won it so much in the past. And I'm hoping it's going to change. One is that the jury keeps changing. So last time around, it was 180 odd FIFA nations, including, I'm guessing, the bottom 80 people who watch YouTube clips and not much else and maybe aren't that invested, don't consume as much high-end football as most of the top 100.
we don't know that.
Yeah, we kind of do. I mean, we
How?
kind of do. We know these
How do
people.
we? Why?
What?
Why was the country ranked 121 in the world? Not much. Not the guy who votes, the journalist, doesn't watch as much football as the team that is 105 in the world. How does that work?
First of all, neither the 121, 105 get a
Okay,
vote
so 99 and 101.
now. Okay, well, first of all, I'm not comparing 99 to 101.
No, but
I'm
like,
talking about if you reduce it to 100, it weights
Yeah.
the ones who are in the thick of it, who get to watch more football, who are more invested in football, who are more from footballing nations. It weighs their votes more, right? Because they represent a larger
I'm
percentage.
not sure about that.
But that's
anyway,
what your
yeah.
friend, that's what Vincent Garcia said. He said,
I
like,
don't
that's
know,
why
but
he
like
cut
the
out.
the team 100 in the world, like how are they more invested in football than
Because the guy is in the number 100 in the world, I believe, at the time of the vote was Kazakhstan. And that guy is in Kazakhstan. He's not traveling around to Champions League and Copa America games. He's
yeah?
presumably covering the Kazakhstan league.
But you can also watch every European
I'm sure
game
he
like
does
we do.
on television, and he's more removed from it. Anyway, this is just a working
Yeah,
theory.
yeah. No. It's
And
just
the other
like-
factor, the reason people say, "Oh, forwards have always won it," let's not forget the two guys who happen to be forwards and happen to be goats
True.
won it 13 times in recent
Together.
memory.
Yeah,
so I
yeah.
think that skews us. And
But
I
even
think,
before that, even
Before that,
it was forward.
and I go back to the original Ballon d'Or, my issue with it. Before that, the people who voted for it were Ballon d'Or correspondents, right? Were France football correspondents. In my excellent column, I go back to one of my earliest memories of Ballon d'Or is the 1987 Ballon d'Or, won by Ruud Gullit,
Would hold it.
where somebody named Sokol Kushta, do you know who he is? Oh, I found a footballer Jules doesn't know. I didn't know he was either, but I remember him from seeing him. He got votes because the France football apparently had a correspondent in Albania, and he says, well, I decided to vote for Sokol Kushta, who was a striker for Flamurtari. I even found a YouTube highlight of him. He's a different universe. People back
Yeah.
then saw very little football, and they judged on little things. I think today, hopefully, we can see more. Leaving aside the strikers are probably more valuable and whatever, but we can see more. And I think Rodri's going to open the door to more midfielders, maybe even defenders winning this award. Maybe even Trent.
Yeah, I
one
hope
day.
so. Yeah, maybe Trent certainly want to. I just think the line that people say about football won when Rodri won the Ballon d'Or. Like Vini is a wonderful player, and football is also the style of football that he plays. With the dribbling and with the pace and with having
Right.
fun and the street football side of it. And Rodri is an incredible player, a genius of his own. Like Vini is, different profile, different players. But I just thought at times it felt that some people were clearly happy that Rodri won it, and he deserves it. We said it was great. I said before I would have voted for him. But it felt that he also went a little bit too much on the other side. Vini didn't win it, so we started saying, this is football, it's so good, it's this, it's the Iniesta Ballon d'Or that he never won, the Xavi Ballon d'Or
Right.
that he never won. I was like, come on, please. Look, it's great for Rodri. It's a shame for Vini. He will win it another season, and so will be other Real Madrid players, and Real Madrid will be at peace with it, and they will travel next year when him or Kylian or Jude win it. It won't be a problem. Everything will be forgotten. But yeah, I just thought as well he went a little bit too far on the other side.
Yeah, like I said, this side of what you said, I agree. I don't care because
No,
it's
I
a
know you
stupid
don't.
award,
I
as
know
you
you
said.
don't.
I'm interested in the machinations and devil.
Yeah,
I want to
yeah,
address some of these things. Again, and the other thing about the people on the jury, right? They're like Supreme Court justices. They're appointed by one man, the editor in chief of France Football. He puts them on the jury. They get to stay on the jury until they either retire, in which case they get to actually name a successor, right? And I don't know, maybe in some cases it's their nephew, maybe it's their dog, I don't know, until they die. Okay, not much you can do there. Or until Vincent Garcia decides, I don't like the way you voted, you're biased, like he did with Kike Wolf, our colleague from ESPN, who I mentioned on Monday. He didn't like the fact that he had given put four Argentines in his top 5 when they won the World Cup. Boom. He's gone, replaced by somebody else. We have to understand this. It's like the Supreme Court, except there is no congressional approval.
It's his award. It's his France Football Award.
That's what I mean.
So,
But, okay. And this takes me to my final point on the. Well, actually, no, I got another point before that. The conspiracy thing. Oh, UEFA are punishing. This is one of my favorite things. UEFA are punishing Real Madrid because of the Super League. Okay, so if I'm UEFA, right, and this is the first year they have an agreement with I think it's the Amaury group that owns France Football. I'm going to punish Real Madrid by elevating who? Manchester City, the club that sued me, the club that I've been going after for years over financial fair play violations, you genuinely think that it's good business for UEFA to go and elevate Manchester?
I
So
don't
this
even know
conspiracy
why
is
you're
nonsense.
wasting your time talking
Because
about
this is the stuff that people put out there.
It's-
I mean, I am completely fascinated and appalled by this. And I don't know. I thought this was extraordinary. And I'll leave you with this thought, which I shared in my column, but I think it's significant of the day and age in which we live. So we're in the UK, right? Pretty big media market, would you say?
Yeah.
Pretty good football league. I wasn't going to watch this. I started hearing rumors about the Vinicius, and I said, all right, let me go and find this on television, right? So I go to my magic satellite dish. I do not get French television on mine, but I get television from, yes.
I get on mine.
If I could expense it, I probably would. Besides, I had the Ligue 1 pass now. I
Yeah.
don't need that. Anyway, so it's nowhere to be found on my television.
Okay.
All right, I'll go to the internet. I go to YouTube. I'm like, somebody must be streaming it. And I go on the live streams and I see Manchester City are streaming it. And I Show Speed is streaming it. So
I don't know who I Show Speed is.
you do know who I Show Speed
I know, but like, I don't know why we're talking about High Show Speed on this show.
Because these are the people who care about the Ballon d'Or, right? So he's there because he's a celebrity and whatever.
Yeah,
that's fine.
he's invited.
I assume he's invited. So I assumed that he'd have a live stream of the ceremony where I could see the people on stage, and he'd be in a corner talking over it, commenting, making his jokes, his faces, the stuff he does on his live streams. No, the actual live stream is him sitting in a chair next to Ibai, another live streamer, with a GoPro trained at them, but they can't talk, right? Because the ceremony's going on, right? So they clap, they make some faces. They're not actually saying anything. And I thought, my God, the world has eaten itself. I am so open-minded to all of this. I don't mind you want to do your stunts. You want people pay you while you're gaming and stuff. But how is it entertaining looking at I Show Speed making faces and Ibai with his beard, and those guys don't say anything?
I don't know.
Because they can't say anything.
No. I don't know.
And they got 10 times as many views as the Man City live stream, which
Well, they would talk. I guess they were talking, right? It was not.
It was Julian Lescott and Izzy Christensen
Not just
talking.
his
Yes,
face, yeah.
they were actually speaking. I don't know what it says about attitudes towards the Ballon d'Or in the UK versus other countries where it's bigger. Oh, one last thing. I saw a lot of people saying a lot of dumb things, frankly, about this award. In Brazil, and this is another thing about why I think this award is as important as the importance we place on it, right? And I find it surprising. I've always said this, that these people need approval. I guess we all do. It's a human thing. We all want approval, right? From the outside, I would have thought, dude, you won the Champions League. You were a key player in winning the Champions League. You might win the World Cup. These are things that you achieve yourself. Mm-hmm. It's not approval that comes from other people. And yet, obviously, this really matters. It got to the point where in Brazil, people were saying that it's some sort of racist backlash towards Vini. And I'm like, look at the 100 countries. Does this stack up? I don't like the way this award then gets turned into something bigger, because Vini does have to face a racist backlash, and he has faced it. And to think that they're going to use an award to punish him, I think it belittles his battle against racism, if anything.